Yeah, just finishing up, I'm watching PBS, and they've got this roundtable of people, Republicans, Democrats, former head of the CIA, Woolsey, Robert Kennedy Jr., all of them, and they're all saying the same thing. Take over the economy, ban carbon, tax, regulate everybody. And then they'd say, yeah, let's put transponders in all the cars and tax you as you drive down the road, which they're already testing all over the nation. And then they would all say, but it's not a tax. They talk to us like we're idiots. Here's this PR pitch on PBS. Then I flip over to the local news channel, and there's things about how they're brainwashing the brownies and Girl Scouts about global warming. And then I flip back over to another local news channel, and there's another thing about global warming. And then I flip over to CNN. This is today. And there's another thing about global warming. Meanwhile, they are lying with the temperatures. You can go check the U.S. government, what NASA's putting out. You can go check what Al Gore's people are putting out, what the environmental, and they just lie. They're still saying this is the coldest winter on record. They're still saying polar bears can't swim and are drowning because the ice caps are melting. Of course, they don't live in the north. All lies, record numbers of, and they're going to list carbon dioxide as toxic waste, ladies and gentlemen, and regulate and come after everybody. And then I saw Robert Kennedy Jr., and everybody nodded their heads, and they had other guests on there saying, yeah, and everybody out of work, we're going to give them a federal government job fighting for the environment and enforcing the new green economy. And on his website, now understand, this is nonpartisan. They've got the Republican preachers, the Democrat preachers, the Al Sharptons and the head of the 700 clubs, up there together on TV shows saying global warming's real. We need a global tax. It will save you. The NFL saying it's real. This is the big government move to tax and regulate every facet of your life. And that's what the G20 just met about, is a new global tax paid directly to the private banks, making a select intergroup of banks the heads of world government. And then, again, they kept repeating, we only have 1% of the oil and gas. Total lie. They said this is not a tax. They would describe taxing you, but then say this is not a tax. They were saying it's the hottest year on record when it's really one of the coldest. Just lying. People say, well, that's just your opinion. No, it's not my opinion. They admit, listen to this, the world has never seen such freezing heat. London Telegraph today. The surreal scientific blunder, so they call it a blunder, it's not a blunder, last week raised a huge question mark about the temperature records that underpin the worldwide alarm of global warming. On Monday's NASA's Goddard Institute for Space Studies, which is named after a Nazi, I would add, which is run by Al Gore's chief scientific ally, Dr. James Hansen, and is one of the 4 bodies responsible for monitoring global temperatures, announced that last month was the hottest October on record. This was startling across the world. There were reports of unseasonal snow and plummeting temperatures last month from the American Great Plains to China and from the Alps to New Zealand. China's official news agency reported that Tibet had suffered its worst snowstorm ever. In the U.S., the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration registered 63 local snowstorm records and 115 lowest ever temperatures for the month and ranked it as one of the 70 warmest in October in 114 years, and ranked it as only the 70th warmest October in 114 years. So it's about average. So what explained the anomaly? The GISS computerized temperature maps seem to show readings across a large part of Russia have been up to 10 degrees higher than normal. But when expert readers of the 2 leading warming skeptic blogs, What's Up With That and Climate Audit, began detailing analysis of the GIS data, they made an astounding discovery. The reason for the freak figures was that scores of temperature records from Russia and elsewhere were not based on October readings at all. Figures from the previous month had simply been carried over and repeated 2 months running. And then it's a long article, then they catch them, and then they would just cheat and move other numbers in, and they're so lazy, they'll just take, a half of a country and just set the same fake temperature for all of it. They don't even try to cheat where you don't notice it. They just fake all the numbers, use the same number across the country, put out a fake number from the summer for October, And then when they got caught, then they went, because they didn't want to be proven wrong overall that the Earth had actually cooled down, which it did. Then they went and snuck and raised the temperature on the map in other areas. They are liars. The Club of Rome, the Council on Foreign Relations, and other groups, we've written articles at prisonplanet.com and Infowars.com with direct links to the United Nations and others admitting it's all fake and that it is a scheme to bring in world government and world taxation and a way to regulate all human activity to control you. Now, they admit it's about taxing. It has nothing to do with the environment. In fact, what it does is it gets heat off real environmental offenders with toxic waste, open-air genetic engineering, cross-species engineering, a lot of other serious things that are happening, things that are really already causing problems. These GMO crops killing the honeybees, major studies on that, because they have this particular corn variety put out by Monsanto. Just in one German study, it grows its own pesticide so bugs won't eat it, but honeybees still go and pick up the pollen. So they go back and die. See, and they're feeding us the pesticide too. And they argue, well, this is a naturally occurring fungal pesticide that it produces. Yeah, but it's like 1,000 times higher than what would naturally occur in corn. Just so happens that most of the rats and guinea pigs that are fed these GMO foods die. Well, it's hurting us too, folks. We're mammals. We're in the same family. That's why all these intestinal diseases, diseases of the gut are way up. So that's why I'm so upset, ladies and gentlemen, because the article just goes on and on where they got caught lying and then cheated again and again and again. And then you never see this in the mainstream news. It finally made it in the Telegraph. And then every time I criticize this, I get letters saying, oh, you work for the oil companies or you're like, ladies and gentlemen, the oil companies are owned by the big private banks that issue the currency and the liquidity. They control the issuance of money. They don't care about, quote, making money. They care about consolidating markets. They care about monopolies and control. Yeah, they make money. They literally order the issuance and the printing of it. They make money the old-fashioned way. They print it. Now, that said, I've got a lot of other news here. This is Associated Press. Security focuses on protesters more than terrorists. And it goes on to say the U.S. government admits that actually the entire anti-terror apparatus is focused on protesters and jobless, and that they believe the American people are basically terrorists. See, I told you, the whole thing is for us when they take our pension funds and everything else, which, by the way, they're announcing they're going to do. They're going to take large portions of your private pension funds, your 401ks. Congress is openly having hearings. They're going to steal it in the name of protecting it, just like Argentina just did. And if you go out and protest it, they'll just have cops go out and stage provocateur actions, and they'll have cops dressed up like protesters attack other cops, and then they'll just fire rubber bullets on the peaceful crowd. Denver Post, again, just admitted in Denver, we caught them in Minneapolis. We weren't sure about Denver. Well, now the police admit but see, it's like above board now. Yeah, we attack our own officers so we can attack crowds of people with billy clubs. But that's good, aren't you, for police officers? Yeah, we go out and provocateur. Shut up or you don't like cops. Well, okay, I'm sorry, But see, we have a corrupt, bankrupt system. And so police, you think you can go commit those crimes because the higher-ups tell you it's okay? Well, just remember, you work for a criminal elite. Doesn't care about you either. American people see images of dead Iraqi children and say, good, they're subhuman, kill them. Don't you understand? The elite thinks of you the same way. And see, now they're taking your pension funds. Now, they've already sucked $5 trillion, as we told you they would. It was in the bill. The banker bailout was not a bailout. It was a banker takeover. And, of course, it wasn't to pay off subprime mortgages. That was never the problem. And now exactly what I told you has happened. They kept it all, and none of it's going for mortgages. And they're going, and it's unlimited. And I watched Friday's hearings that, by the way, are on C-SPAN right now, re-airing. And Kashkari said, you gave us omnipotent power. Basically, just sit down and shut up. We'll take whatever we want. They'll just put some more fake newscast on, put some more ball games on, and we'll all be third world slaves. They'll just fool a bunch of liberals with Barack Obama. Okay, we're going to come back, go to your phone calls, and a lot of other news. Stay with me. We'll get into the economics.